Welcome to the life and times of Amunhotep III. He was the 9th king of the 18th dynasty. Now again, there's conflicting dates as to his rule: 1386 BCE to 1349 BCE, gives him a 37-year reign, or 1388 BCE to 1350 BCE. That gives him a 38-year reign. That's why I particularly like dynasties. He's always going to be in that 18th dynasty. I'm not too worried about dates because as new data becomes available, dates can change. So if you just remember, he's the 9th king of the 18th dynasty, you can't really go wrong. He came to the throne between the age of 6 and 12 years of age, so there must have been a co-regency to support him until he became an adult around 15 or 16. He married his great royal wife, Tia, but he had lots of political marriages as well. Remember, there are the Mitannies. He married 2 Mitanni princesses. There are the Babylonians. He married 2 of their princesses. He married one of the Hittite princesses. There is no register or mention of him marrying an Assyrian princess, but they're the rising power on the horizon, way far away, but still a rising power. There were correspondence with all of them, and they talked to each other not as great kings but as brothers, a brotherhood. That's what they were talking about. During this 38 year reign, there's peace and stability for once throughout the Reteru and the Amaru and Levant. However, in year 5 there was a military campaign down to Kush again. Now, the poor old Kushites. They're obviously an organised civilization, and they obviously resent the Egyptians being in what they regarded as their lands, for these rebellions to happen. And as always, the perpetrators of these events, of these rebellions, are always singled out and publicly decimated and ripped to bits. That's all you can say. It's horrible to think that humans can do that to another. But obviously the Egyptians have stolen those lands, and they feel so strong that they want to have a form of nationalism to expel them. Now, remember, when a king comes to power, he has to go through a coronation called a Sed festival, which happens in Memphis. So Memphis is still the ancient capital of Egypt, although Waset is now the bureaucracy capital of Egypt, where the king is and all his predecessors have been before during this 18th dynasty. So in Memphis, he would have to raise a Djed pillar to show that he had stability throughout the land. He would have to go through a ritual in one pavilion to represent Lower Egypt, one pavilion to represent Upper Egypt, and a third pavilion of the Nebtawi, the Lord of Two Lands. But every 20 odd years, a king would have another Sed festival to prove that he was fit and able to rule the country. So his Sed festivals is year 30, year 34 and year 37. So he had 3 of them. And we know that in the latter part of his reign, he wasn't doing too good. But I think he was just saying, hey, let's have a party. Okay, let the whole country celebrate this time. So with this long rule of 38 years, you can imagine that he got to work building. He started a hypostyle hall at Karnak, but I think he either cancelled it as it was a bit adventurous, or he died during construction because it was abandoned. And it wasn't until the 19th dynasty under Seti I they had actually started construction again, and it was finished by Ramesses II. He added to the Sun Temple of Aten. So in the northern part of Karnak, there was another form of Ra called Aten. Aten in the horizon. And Tutmosis I built a small shrine there, and Amunhotep III is added to that. He built the 4th pylon at Karnak, and he started building a 10th pylon at Karnak as well. So these are major building projects, absolutely amazing. He built a whole palace and lake on the west bank of Waset at a place called today Malkata, and it was mainly for his wives and for his harem. He married quite a few of his daughters to stop foreign kings asking for their hand in marriage. Remember, kings of Egypt didn't want their daughters to marry foreigners because foreign kings and lords could claim the title and throne of Egypt. So what they tended to do was marry their daughters and put them in the harem. Well, it's a tough old life, I suppose, but he did try to make it comfortable for them with this beautiful palace on the west bank and this great lake, so they could sail in boats around the lake. So couldn't have been too bad for them, and they would have had all the luxuries that the king could afford: perfumes and linen and jewellery and all sorts of things. Amunhotep III's tomb was not in the Eastern Valley where all the other tombs were built. It was in the Western Valley at West Valley 22. It had 3 burial chambers, and it was constructed exactly as other previous 18th dynasty tombs, where the main tomb was offset to the west with upper and lower levels. The other 2 burial chambers was for his great wife Tia and his favourite daughter stroke wife Sitamun. The tomb was rediscovered in 1799 by the Napoleon expedition to Egypt. So Napoleon invaded Egypt to deny trade routes for Britain to India. Didn't work out, but he did create this magnificent location on ancient Egypt. The tomb was officially cleared by Howard Carter, and that would have been clearing out lots of rubble. Remember, the early years of Howard Carter, he made his living doing facsimiles of tomb pictures and writing, and he was selling them to tourists who come to Egypt. So facsimiles were copies of the paintings and writing in the tombs, which were highly decorated, and he would have done that on paper and sold those to tourists coming to Egypt. In 1989, the tomb was officially excavated and conserved, and that is from a Japanese university called Waseda. So they've been in that tomb for quite a few years now, and they're conserving it and doing the excavation there. Amunhotep III built a massive mortuary temple on the west bank of Waset. It's known as the Colossi of Menom, and that's because shortly after it was completed, it had 2 earthquakes, and the gigantic statues at the entrance of the temple suffered with damage, and as the wind whistles through, it makes this eerie noise. Well, the Greeks called them the Menom, Colossi of Menom, and the Romans continued with that term. But actually statues of Amunhotep III, 18 meters tall. They're made out of quartzite sandstone, which comes from just outside the modern city of Cairo, some 800 kilometers away. So this was serious building. You know, to go to that trouble of relocating, quarrying those stones outside of Cairo, bringing them down the Nile, and then locating them in Waset just to build gigantic statues of the king. So he had plenty of resources in his at his disposal. As I mentioned earlier, unfortunately this temple suffered with two earthquakes shortly after it's built, and a third earthquake. So what happened was, after the king died, this earthquake damage had never been repaired, and future kings used it as a quarry to build their monuments. So that was the fate of the mortuary temple. Okay, so the summary of the life and times of Amenhotep III. He had a very peaceful reign. He entered into lots of political marriages with his brother kings in the ancient world. There's no mention of revolts in the Canaan. There's no mention of revolts in Syria. So obviously the Mitannies accepted the Egyptian domination over the Amaru and the retinue. There was only that one revolt down in Kush, which was easily crushed, and the rest of it was about peace and stability. But that's all going to change, because his heir and successor was not his first son Tutmosis. No, it was Amunhotep IV, who was going to have some different ideas on how to rule Egypt. Anyway, if you would like to support this project, please go to GoFundMe, which you'll find on the next page, and please make a small donation. The idea is to make video tours of Colossal Temple, which you can download onto your phone, of the mortuary temple that you saw, which you can download onto your phone, of the Palace of Melkata, which can be downloaded onto your phone. So that's the whole idea of this project, is to make video tours that you can download onto a phone and use at any time that you visit Egypt. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you real soon. Bye for now.